Parenting a child with ADHD can feel overwhelming, and it's easy to think that you need to do everything right. You don't. What your child needs most is opportunities to move, play, and release energy in ways that make them feel successful. Exercise isn't about fixing your child, it's about supporting who they already are. When we build movement into their lives early, we are helping them feel calmer, more confident, and more capable, both now and as they grow.
Hello, everyone. I'm Tony,
And I'm Casey.
and welcome to Anthony's Way, the Road to Kindness, and our YouTube podcast channel, The Way Forward, a Kindness Mission. And we want to especially welcome those joining us for the first time. It's great to have you with us. First, we want to share that since we started and launched Anthony's Way, the Road to Kindness, we've been able to help over 60 families get the care and the guidance and help that they need for their child. And that's really exciting for us. And we are also now directly sponsoring children and teenagers. So we're working hard at it. And, we created Anthony's Way with this mission in mind, that we want to help every child to thrive. And that's our main goal, and that's our main mission. And now with January, it's a new month, it's a new beginning, another semester at school for kids and new challenges. All these things could make those with ADHD retreat. Well, this month, we want to raise awareness to what motivates children, what motivates their emotions, and what brings out the best. So today's topic is one that we feel is very important, and it's exercise, motivation, moving. All right. Now, Jeff Copper was in our last video, and he talked about his new theory of motivation. A lot of what he talked about conveys into what we're going to talk about. But first, I think it's a good idea to talk about our model for
Right.
all the new people.
Yeah, because somebody that has never seen us before may not know what our model is and how we actually help kids.
All right. So let's kick it off by sharing, our model. And we've developed this. It took us about 2 years to put this together. And we have a lot of it laid out in our founding discussion that we did in the first video that kicked off the YouTube channel. But this is important because, first off, it all starts with getting your child the right ADHD assessment. And, not a computer-generated assessment. This is one where you go and sit across from a psychologist or psychiatrist, and they do a thorough assessment. They ask the school for input, they ask parents for input, and it's important that you get that done the right way. And what we're hearing is that a lot of children today and parents that take their child for an assessment may not be done the right way. Right. And so we believe that we got a great psychologist who helps us with assessments here in North Carolina, but it's important that you find the right one no matter where you're at. Okay. And then as we move into the first pillar that we have is the ADHD life coach. And we believe the life coach is the quarterback in our model, that they go in, they do an extensive intake session, and they've been trained. And we use the ADD Coach Academy, and David Gawork, who's the founder there. He's done a great job with training, as he's trained the most people in ADHD life skills and
every time we talk to somebody, they're like, "Oh, I was one of David's students."
And then so we use a lot of David's help, and they also do parent coaching. So but they're the quarterback. They do the intake session. They figure out what's working for your child, what isn't, and what needs to be, and what kind of help you should get. Then we have also a very important part. This is the school part of it, and we have an education advocate that is just outstanding. She's a special education and special inclusion out of Philadelphia, and she works closely with the parents to make sure the child gets what they need and the help they need from their 504 IEP, whatever it may be, and that comes off the assessment. And she works with the school, she works with the parents, and gives them guidance, and that's really important. And then obviously tutoring fits into the mix too. And we got a great tutoring organization, and the primary two areas that we work on is math and English. So what we find is that a child might be excelling in math, but have to struggle with English and reading and writing. And, or they may have challenges in both. And we have a tutoring organization that works in both of those. They're retired teachers that bring the skill sets. They work with kids that have ADHD. And then big part of this is nutritional guidance. And we have a wonderful registered nutritionist, certified nutritionist with us, and she's just awesome. She's worked with a number of families, And nutrition plays a critical role in the whole process because if you're on medication, you're getting stimulated. It's a stimulant primarily, and you need to put something in your body that's going to help give you the protein and the other things that you need, the nourishments that you need. And it's a big part of this whole thing, and that rolls into exercise. So when you look at nutrition and exercise, probably 75% of that is the nutritional part, 25 is exercise. But what we like to do, and that's where I play the role, is we want to get kids moving. We want to get kids to try new things.
Right.
I mean, it's not about sitting behind a computer and playing gaming. We want to get you moving. We want to give kids the opportunity to try. If there's a daughter out there who would like to try dance, and give her the opportunity to try dance. That's what we're about. If there's a son who wants to go snowboarding, you give them the opportunity to go snowboarding, and that's what we're about. We're about helping and give opportunities that influence and will guide and get them moving. And I also created a balance program, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a few minutes. But balance is very important because it helps them to be able to focus. And it's been written up in Dr. Ned Hallowell's books that balance is important for a child that is ADHD, and we'll talk more about that. And then the other part is social skills and connection.
Mm-hmm.
And the group that does that the best is the Dale Carnegie organization, and they have an outstanding program. They do one-on-one sessions with the kids, and they get them connected. They want to help them to be able to deal with conflict and issues, and teenagers from 13 to 17 will work with the Dale Carnegie organization. And then one of the other pieces in this is college preparation services. And Casey can talk to this. Is that how did Anthony feel about college prep?
Well, I mean, he didn't have straight A's, so he never thought that he was going to be able to get into college. He said, "I'm never going to be able to go to college." But through the services of our friend in Hershey, he was accepted to 7 colleges and got scholarships at 4 of them. So he definitely was going to college.
But she helped him through the SATs, which he said he would never get through.
She did. She helped with the essay part of it.
Yeah, and then they work to identify schools that will accommodate and schools that are good for the child. They find out what they're, throughout this whole process, we're working to find what the passions are for the child. And the college prep services and that side of it helps them to find what schools will work really well with. And then we also have a therapist group that we use because we believe that if there are special needs out there for a child, we want to be able to help them. And so that's our model. We've covered all the bases that you would want to look at if you had a child that would be in need. Now, not every child needs all the services, right? But we have them available. And for the children we're sponsoring, they're 100% available, and all of them. And even for the families that we talk to that can cover the cost of care, we try to identify which part of our model will work best and what do they need. And we find that not every child needs all parts of the model, but it really works well, and we've been very happy, and we've gotten some great testimonials. And if you get a chance, you can go to our website, www.anthonysroadtokindness.com, and look at our testimonials that are out there from both experts and parents.
Yeah. So basically, what we've done is we've created a roadmap for parents to help them find where they need to go and to help get them there.
Yeah, that's really important, and no one else has done what we've put together. No one else has taken the time to put together this, and it really brings the experts, and these experts want to help kids. They love kids, have desire to help kids, and that's the goal. So what do we want to talk about today?
The importance of
exercise and movement. So probably should start about
let's talk about how you got started in exercising.
That's a funny story. Okay, so I grew up Italian, obviously, and so being an Italian family, what do you think I ate a lot of? Okay, I ate a lot of pasta and meatballs, and every Sunday we'd have pasta meatballs, and we'd make enough. My grandmother and my mom would make enough for the whole neighborhood. So, and I have it for the whole week. And so I ate a lot. Now, when I was young, I was a pretty chunky little boy, and I didn't move a lot. And so about 12 or 13 years of age, I said, my dad was a little guy. My dad had these really big arms, and and my brother was working out, and he worked out all the time too. And I said, boy, I got to change. I got to do something. I was starting to get picked on, and I did not want to get picked on. So my dad asked my dad to go get me a set of weights,
Mm-hmm.
and get me a bench. And I said, and back then, those were expensive for a family to get. And but he got me a set of weights, 110 or 120 pound uh, um, weight set, and he got me a nice bench. So I can still remember I didn't know anything about working out, and no one was really there to help me. My brother was going to the gym, and so I started looking and what could I do? And so I still remember this one time. I don't think I ever shared this with Casey, but I went downstairs and I said I'm gonna start lifting. So I put some weights on the barbell, and I said I know overhead presses are really good for you. So I tried to do an overhead press, but what happened is I lost my balance and I fell right into the cabinets. And I was stuck there. My fingers were getting crushed by the weights, and I couldn't drop because there was other stuff in front of it. So I'm yelling for my dad to come down. He comes running down. He says, "Anthony, what are you doing?" And I said, "I wanted to work out, and I needed some. I wanted to just get started, Dad." He got me the weight set, and then he laughed and he took the weight barbell off of me and he put it down on the ground. He says, and he started showing me some things to do that were helpful. And my dad was an Army guy, and he had some ideas, and he showed me some things that would work. And from that time on, I've continued working out. So that summer, just to share this with you, is that summer I grew a lot, and I lost probably 40 pounds, and came back a different person, and to school, and felt good about myself. And so from there, I started continued to work out, and I worked out at Penn State and was on the weightlifting team and powerlifting team. And I love to work out, and I love lifting weights. And we also at the time, and now I don't run anymore, but I used to run a lot, at least 2 miles every day after we worked out. And I felt really good, and I felt good about me and good about what I was doing, and it just stayed with me. And it's been my motivation in the mornings that I get up, and first thing I do is I go down, and now we have it in our house, and I go work out. But we had a gym too.
We did, but more importantly, you have had the kids exercising since
So
they
true.
were young.
Yeah.
You started them off, and all of them they still exercise daily.
Yeah. So I wanted to get everybody doing stuff. And our oldest two girls, they love dance, and so they were dancing. Our Meredith and Aubrey were dancing. Gabrielle loved gymnastics.
Yep. And
And
dance too.
and dance. She did both for a while, but she really got into gymnastics. And then and everybody loved what they were doing. And then Anthony, he couldn't sit still. So we
No.
had to really figure out what was gonna
I think
work.
he tried every sport
He did. And
that was
we
available.
can share that. We let him try, I think, baseball, and that was probably the worst.
Baseball.
That was probably the worst thing, because he was at second base, and
It's when he was little,
he's picking
like
the
first or
grass.
second grade.
Picking the
Yeah.
grass.
And they put this little ADHD boy out in the outfield, and all he could do was pick the grass.
And it was just, and balls would grow right to his legs and stuff. And he eventually came over to us and said,
He didn't play very long.
I don't think I
he
want to do
played
this.
for a season, and that was it.
But he played football,
Soccer.
He loved soccer, and he loved lacrosse, and he loved snowboarding. He loved skate. He loved
Skateboarding.
Boarding too.
Longboarding.
Yeah, he loved all of those.
He liked to stay busy.
Yeah.
He liked to be active.
Yeah, he did, and that was good. So he didn't want to be sitting in front. In his early years, we didn't have computers and stuff, and back then until we got a computer, but then he didn't really want to sit much. He wanted to be outside. He wanted to be playing, and that was great. So
he liked to be with people.
Yeah,
he loved to be with people.
Yeah. So the thing that we found was really important is that when Anthony got assessed, at the same time he was getting bullied by some kids, and I said to Casey, and I said, I'd like to get him into martial arts. And at the time I didn't know a lot about martial arts. I loved martial arts. I loved the MMA was out there and other stuff, but I knew the discipline behind martial arts. And so what I did is I asked everybody if they wanted to go and be involved in martial arts, and Gabriella and Anthony said, yeah, they would like to go and try it. And so I took them to a class. And first, before I did that, I went and I talked to the master that I've figured out where would be the right thing for the right person to work with, our son and our daughter, and and me too, because I wanted to do it with them. So so we found the right people to work with us, and the right people that understood that, hey, Anthony has ADHD. Sometimes he's going to be, not sitting still, and we agreed that if that was the case, I would take him over to the side, give him a little break, bring him back in. But what we soon found was that he really embraced it.
Mm-hmm.
And at 8 years of age, he loved it. And
He
now,
started, but then he stopped,
yeah, he started, but then he
and then he went back.
then he said, he didn't want to do it anymore. He'd rather sleep on a Saturday than get up. So, but there were times when we would leave the house, and he would call us up. He'd call me back, and I'd come back and get him, and we'd be late, and but we wanted him to stay with it, and he embraced it. And by 12, he was a black belt, and Gabriella at 14 was a black belt. I think I was 42 or something, 44. So I was just happy to get through it. But the kids really excelled, and with Gabriella's gymnastics, she was doing flips and stuff for the forms, and and some of the special things that she was doing. And Anthony loved all the weapons, the nunchucks and the staff, and he just embraced it, and he took it to heart. And the part of this is the discipline that goes along with it. And so, I really didn't know the importance of it, but there's a wonderful book out there called Spark, and it's by John Ratey, and he highlights that people with ADHD often struggle with impulsiveness,
Mm-hmm.
difficulty sustaining attention, and challenges with self-regulation, which we know.
Yep.
Anthony had all of those, right? And he says that traditional aerobics or repetitive forms of exercise are helpful, but martial arts offers unique advantages that align particularly well with the ADHD brain. That's so powerful. Martial arts is particularly well with ADHD brain. And there's reasons why, and I'll go into those in a few minutes, but do you think that was true for him?
Oh yeah, absolutely. But I think another thing that helped a lot was that you did it with them too.
Yeah. Yeah, and I had fun. So when we were going through, and we would practice together, on the nights we didn't. And so, sometimes I put the mitts on, and I could tell you this story that put the mitts on, and my lovely son, I said, when the mitts are up, you hit the mitts. When the mitts are down, you don't hit. Well, okay. So he'd kid around, and I got hit a couple times
in the wrong place.
In the wrong places. But then I chased him around, and we'd wrestle, and we'd have fun, and we made it a fun time. So, but the idea is that, you have to find what your child likes to do.
Mm.
This has to be something they like to do. Martial arts is written up as being one of the best things you could do for your child that is ADHD. And there's a number of reasons why. It requires focus on technique, timing, and rhythm. And that hits the cognitive engagement, helps individuals with ADHD practice sustained attention in a way that is inherently rewarding. The other powerful thing we found about martial arts is that there's a belt program with most martial arts programs. And depending on the dojo and depending on the different kind of martial arts you're going to use, but that shows progression and progress. And that's what kids want too. They want to see that they're progressing. And the white belt to the yellow belt, etc., all the way up to black belt, that was a progression. And there were steps along the way that the child has to do, or that Anthony had to do. And those are all good. And he says that immediate success or correction provides frequent reinforcement, which is highly effective for ADHD learners who struggle with delayed feedback. All right. And then he goes on to say that most martial arts emphasize discipline, respect, and controlled response. And they do. We want controlled response. We want the self-regulation piece to kick in here. And, we want them to regulate their skills, but it gives a pathway for executive control. And that's really powerful. And it shows progression, and that helps to show the child that they can progress. Right. A lot of kids like to do things individually. Like we just rattled off a number of skateboarding, snowboarding. They're all individual sports. And Anthony liked to do those individual things. And a lot of kids that we talk to, like that we help, and families, they like swimming.
Yep.
They like fishing. And they're out, they're doing something active, and that's a good thing. And all of those things help with the dopamine levels and help to raise dopamine, and get them to move. And some kids don't like competition. So martial arts does bring in some competition, not in the early years, but as you progress through, it does. And the nice part is that if you have the right teachers and dojo, they'll help you to deal with the competition challenges that go with it. And then it's for connection and social connection. And we just talked a little bit about our model. How important is connection, Casey? Pretty important, right?
Connection is very important. ADHD kids, they thrive on connection. They need connection.
Yeah, they need to know, and so they make friends. They make friends
but they don't always know how to do it.
Yeah, they don't. And so, and we talked about there's another podcast out there on friendships with Caroline McGuire. And so, but it was nice because they're still getting connected with other kids, and there were other kids in the class, and Anthony liked that. And so that was good. So it helps them to build the social skills that they need. So again, martial arts is important. That's what we did, and that's what we feel was very, very helpful for our son Anthony that had ADHD. And then let's just spend a minute on, we mentioned balance, and Dr. Hallowell and John Ratey wrote a book, ADHD 2.0. And this book, in chapter 7, so in the Spark book I mentioned, chapter 6 talks about martial arts and exercise. In chapter 7, this talks about move to focus, move to motivate, and the power of exercise. All right. And now Dr. Hallowell is really big on balance. And he talks about the question of balance. And he believes that when you teach your child to balance, it helps them to focus. And so when we're talking about balance, what we're talking about is, okay, if you stand there, just stand there and raise your one leg up and hold it there. And how's your balance? As we get to be adults, it gets a little harder sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But as kids, they like to do that. But what that does is they got to hold it there for 15, 20, 30 seconds. Then they raise their whole foot out and they got to hold that there. And then we teach them to walk heel to toe for 10 steps. So sometimes that's easy when your eyes are open. Now think about closing your eyes. This helps a child to focus, and it gives them about 20 to 30 minutes of additional, what we'll call additional study time if they need it at the end of the day when they're off their medicine. And I've worked up a complete balance program based on Dr. Hallowell and some of the other teachings that he does and what he believes in. And it does work, and I'm happy to share that with anybody that would be interested in that. And we'll put that note down below for you too. So, but again, the whole idea behind exercise movement is we want the kids to get up. We want them to move. We want parents, please find something that a child likes to do. The other big part of this is, and a lot of people talk about it, is what we'll call meditation skills. And there's a lot to say about meditation. There's a lot to say about visualization too. And when Gabriella was doing gymnastics, and even the older girls when they were doing dance, and Meredith and Aubrey, sometimes we visualize, sit down and you close your eyes and you think about what you're doing. And we did that for martial arts too. How does the form look? I'm doing the form.
Go through the routine in your head.
That's right. And it helps.
And you see it in your mind.
And you've already succeeded, and you've already done it. Like even if you were swimming, seeing yourself jump into the water and swim, and in competition or just doing the exercise, you're seeing yourself in there already, and you're seeing yourself go through the routine in your mind, and that helps. That every time that helps you to see that you can be successful, and it really does work. It does work. Visualization works, and meditation is just finding some quiet time and think about some things. And now, one thing that Casey and I were talking about this morning was there's something called the perfect exercise. Okay, now you hear perfect exercise, you got to think, well, what the heck could that be, right? Is there such a thing, right? Mm-hmm. So the perfect exercise is where, if you can take and just lay down, lay on the floor and lay still and close your eyes and think about what a perfect day would be. All right. So if you want to do it now, you can take a few minutes and close your eyes and just think about a perfect day. What would a perfect day be for you? And then if you have a child that has ADHD, have them lay down by you and ask them what a perfect day would be. And just being quiet for that 5-10 minutes as they think about what a perfect day would be. I could picture my perfect day. And I do this I do this every morning. I take 10 minutes every morning, sometimes 15 minutes, and I do my own meditation, but I think about what the day, what a good day would be. And that helps to set the stage for me. And what we're saying is, and it's been written that if a child can think about, what a good day is, now we know that some things don't always go the way they're supposed to
Right.
be.
Your idea of a perfect day doesn't always work out that way.
No, I mean, if they want to do this in the morning with your child, they may end up going to school and
Not having a
have
good
a
day.
crappy day. And, but the idea is,
But
and you
then
said,
just help them pick out one thing, that they liked about the day, or one thing that went well on that day,
that's it. Yeah.
and then just focus on that.
It is about, positive reinforcement, and it's recognizing that, there are things in the child's day that went good. And if you can highlight those, and not everything's going to go well. We know how it is. We know how the bad days are, and we understand that for the parents that call us and we talk to, and but you're going to have some good days too, and those are the days that you want to cheer your child on, and
Right.
and just raise those up, like, if they've done well on a test that they studied for, cheer them on, celebrate the successes,
Celebrate the little wins.
and I'll tell you, that makes such, whatever it is, and just celebrating and making it a special moment for your child, because sometimes they're not going to have the special moments, and we need as many of those as we can as we're raising, and as you're raising a child that is ADHD and going through the challenges and struggles, and it is a, how visualizing how a perfect day would be is a perfect exercise, and it's a meditation exercise that, give it a try it for yourself, and then experience that, let your son or daughter try some different things, different movements, different exercises, different things that they might like, just to give them opportunity, right?
Right.
And
Tony likes to make everything fun, so it was perfect for the kids.
I do. I get bored. I get bored very easily. When it comes to exercise, there isn't anything that and you could ask anybody, the people I train too, is that I don't want to be doing the same thing every time, because it is monotonous. And sometimes martial arts can be monotonous. You go into the form, and every time you want to get a little bit better at the form, and, some of the stuff. But as we mixed it up and we had some fun with it and made it fun, and make things fun for your child, they're going to enjoy it a lot more.
Right.
Same as learning. I mean, any kind of learning is, if you can make it fun for a child that is ADHD, you're going to get a lot more out of it. So, but we always did. We played a lot of games too. We had a lot of fun.
We did.
And you could come up with it. Like in one other video, we shared the Bellezza Olympics. We did. And, every summer we take 2 weeks and we do different things that, we'd even have a lighting ceremony like the Olympics would around their pool. And the kids would love it, and they get into it, and we pick exercises and things that they wanted to do, and we play wiffle ball, and we do swimming, and we even tried to accommodate my lovely wife here. So why don't you share a little bit about your experience with exercise?
Okay, well,
everybody understands.
Okay. So one thing you haven't heard, you've heard all about the kids and Tony exercising, but one thing that you have not heard is Cassi exercising, because I don't. And I was always busy. I never needed to. And recently, I've had some problems with my leg and my hips, and I have realized how important it is to keep your body strong. But anyway, one of the things that I am good at, because I always was good at it, and my children knew that I wasn't good at sports. I wasn't, I didn't exercise. I didn't do any of that. So one of the things that we had was treading water in the pool, and I mean, I knew I could tread water, and I knew I could tread water for a long time, but I never said anything. So, of course, I think it's down to me and Anthony. I think it was the two of us.
I sunk right to the bottom.
He's like, "Give up, Mom," and I'm like, "I can do this for hours." And so they all were just amazed that there was one thing that I was actually actually good at.
So for the Olympics, we always did include treading water or we always included a pool game. Casey knew that Casey would do good at pool game, at the water swimming games and stuff. So we always had that in. But, again, think about things that you can do and as a family.
But I want to say one more thing. Sorry. But since I have had some troubles, I have to make exercise part of my daily routine.
Yeah.
And I have realized the importance of daily exercise and movement and stretching and those kinds of things, and especially as I've gotten older. And I don't want one little thing to hurt me for the rest of my life. I don't want one little break or something like that keep me from enjoying my life. So anyway, so Casey has finally been made to exercise.
She's embarked on a new
I held out as long as I could.
So, but and you can start anytime. I mean, but the idea is that we truly, truly believe that exercise for children and movement for children is very powerful and very good for them. So whatever it might be, again, if you want to talk to us, we're happy to share and talk, and happy to share anything that we have with you that can add value to your child. We really do believe that it's powerful, and so again, feel free to reach out to us. We'll put some of the notes down in the comment section below, and but we're here to help. And you heard about our model. Our model works. Our model has worked with over 60 families and the children that we're personally sponsoring, and we're going to sponsor more kids as we move through this year and out. So, and we cheer every child on.
Absolutely.
We want every child to be successful, and every parent to understand how wonderful their child is. So we're going to close with a little comment.
Did we cover everything?
I think so. I think we talked about most of the items. Again, if you have questions, please reach out to us. We are always here.
All right. So parenting a child with ADHD can feel overwhelming, and it's easy to think that you need to do everything right. You don't. What your child needs most is opportunities to move, play, and release energy in ways that make them feel successful. Exercise isn't about fixing your child. It's about supporting who they already are. When we build movement into their lives early, we are helping them feel calmer, more confident, and more capable, both now and as they grow.
Isn't that cool? That hits on everything we talked about.
It does.
So we always try to close with a little statement here that wraps things up. And, and we want to close with our favorite motto. And our motto, our family that's been with us for 35 plus years now.
Our kids probably say it in their sleep.
I hope they do. I do. Today is the best day of your life,
and tomorrow will be even better. And life is better with you.
We want every child to know that life is better with them. So post that on your mirror, put it on your fridge, and say it with your kids, and carry that on. Life is better with you. Today's the best day of your life. Tomorrow will be even better. Thank you for listening. Enjoy your day and have a great one.
Take care.
Thank you for spending time with us today.
If you liked today's episode, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who could use the information. And remember, a little bit of kindness goes a long way, especially for those kids with ADHD. See you next time.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for listening to our podcasts. We really appreciate you listening to them. And hopefully you're gaining a lot from the information that we share. Now we're here to ask you to help us. Help us to help these kids. Your donation is an investment in helping a child with ADHD and helping a family that can't afford the cost of care. Our QR codes are below. Every dollar we raise goes directly into helping these kids to thrive, and we get them the help they need, specifically the care from our care model that they need. So we hope you'll make a donation, become part of our community and donation community. You'll get newsletters and updates periodically, and we'd love to have you part of it. So thank you very much, and appreciate your consideration and your time. Best.